Welcome back. Birshus, friends old and new. We will begin where we left off. The beginning of the fourth parak of Pirkei Avot goes as follows. Probably one of the most pithy, most quoted, most cited of all of the statements of Avot throughout the entire world. אומר. Ben Zomא says, Eizehu chacham, who is a wise man? Halomed mikol adam. And Ben Zomã continues, and we know 4 categories does Ben Zomã bring in this Mishnah. Eizehu chacham, who is a wise man? He who learns from every man. And Eizehu gibor, who is a strong man? Hakol v'yishis Yisrael, a person who conquers. He conquers every and all of his desires in life. He conquers the inner essence of those things that motivate him on a daily level, that are not per se good for him, that he wants and he likes in this lifetime, but he conquers it. It's not per se a gibor, a person who's strong physically, but the person who's internally strong mentally. Eizehu ashir, who is a wealthy person. Again, it is not the individual per se who has a lot of money, the ashir, that is commonly referred to, but rather the person who's internally and mentally wealthy. The person, hasameach bechelko, the person who's happy with his lot in life. If you're happy with your lot in life, what more do you need? I don't need another thing. I don't need another TV. I don't need another car. I don't need anything else. I have everything at last. The Izehu mechubad, and who is the person who is honored? He who honors other people. We're coming upon the heels less than a week after Pesach, and this Shabbos coming starts the cycle of Pirkei Avot anew. So I thought we would discuss a little bit, possibly from the Haggadah a little bit. Let's return. Ben Zomã אומר. Ben Zomã says, Eizehu chacham, who is a wise person? Halomed mikol adam. It's a person who learns from every man, as the Mishnah continues and says, Mikol melamdai hiskalti, from everyone I have become enriched in my seichel, and I have become enlightened. So the Torah Temimah says something fascinating that I've always loved, that my father, Rav Yaakov Simcha Kohen Zatzal, always liked to quote and cite. Eizehu chacham, who is a chacham? Notice who the first person that is Rabbi Eliezer in the Haggadah quotes. So let's go back a little bit to the Haggadah, and let's remind ourselves about what the Haggadah has to say. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Harei ani kiven shivim shana v'lo zachisi ad she'amar yetzias Mitzrayim ba'leilos. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, behold, it is as if I am a man of 70 years of age, and I never merited to understand this halacha about stating and citing Yetzias Mitzrayim in the evening hours. Ad shedorsha Ben Zomã, until Ben Zomã came along. And what did Ben Zomã say? The man tizkor as yom tzeitzcha me'eretz Mitzrayim kol yamei chayecha ba'leilos and yamei chayecha b'yomim. Why is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah quoting Ben Zomã? His first adage, the first major thing that is recorded for all of Jewish time in the Haggadah, that every Jewish person, almost throughout all of Judaism, no matter what stripe of Jew you are, reads the Haggadah. And out of all of the statements, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah quotes one guy, Ben Zomã, our author of this Mishnah. Why? Why, the Torah Temimah, Rabbi Baruch Epstein asks. Why is he quoting him? Notice the terminology, how it introduces Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah in the Haggadah. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Harei ani kiven shivim shana. It was as if I was like 70 years old. Upon his appointment to the head of the Sanhedrin and the Rosh Yeshiva of Klal Yisrael, he was only 17 years of age. In order for him to be accepted amongst the elders, the Zkanim, and all of the wise and old men of the yeshiva, His countenance changed overnight, and he appeared as if he was 70 years of age. And who does he quote as his first citation? The one that is remembered for all time? Ben Zomא. Who was Ben Zomã? Ben Zomã, too, was a very young man. His real name was Shimon ben Zomã. But the reason why he was called Ben Zomã is because he didn't merit Rebbe, and also because he was not yet married. And because Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah chose to cite Ben Zomã for one simple reason. He came to give a lesson to all of the Zakenim and all of the wizened elders who stood in opposition to his appointment and say, yes, indeed, you can indeed learn from somebody who's young too. And the first person I'm going to quote is a young guy, and his name is Ben Zomã. Rabbi Say, let's look again at this Ben Zomã. And let's again try to compare it to the Haggadah that we have just finished reciting only a mere week ago. Who is the Chacham in the Haggadah? How is the Chacham different than the Rasha? What do they both say? So the Haggadah tells us what they say. Chacham. What are these statutes, these rules, and these ordinances that God has commanded you? That our God has commanded you. Eschem. Now let's look at what the Rasha says. Not so different. What is this service to you? Both use extraneous or extracting type of language. The Chacham says eschem to you, and the Rasha says lachem to you. So in a very plain and literal sense, both don't seem to be that different from each other. Both say you and not me. Both say you and not us. So why is one considered a Chacham while the other is considered a Rasha for their statement? Again, both say you. To you, what is all of this about? Not to me. Both don't say me. They say you, excluding themselves on a certain level. So the answer, according to some, does not lie in that one word attributable to each of them, in the word eschem or lachem. Rather, in order to understand truly, no longer on a superficial level, but on a really deeper level, what is it that these two individuals, the Rasha and the Chacham, are trying to convey? One needs to see what both of them say in the Torah itself, not the Haggadah. Because the Haggadah is paraphrasing from the Torah itself. So let's analyze what the Torah itself has to say that both the Chacham and the Rasha say. What's the statement in the Torah in Shmos that the Rasha says? V'haya, and it will be, ki yomru aleichem, when they will say to you, ma ha'avodah hazos lochem. Notice the words, yomru aleichem. Here the Rasha makes a statement. He's uttering facts and delivers an ultimatum. He already knows it all. Let's contrast that with what the Chacham says in the Torah. V'haya ki yish'alcha bincha machar lemor mazos. And it will be when he will ask you a question tomorrow, what is this all about? Notice what the Chacham says. It says, Ki yish'alcha. He's asking. The Rasha comes and makes a statement. V'haya ki yomru aleichem. He's uttering facts. He's giving absolutes. Comes along the Chacham and he's asking a question. Ki yish'alcha. The Rasha knows it all. The Chacham wants to learn. Eizehu Chacham. Who is a Chacham? Halomed mikol adam. He learns from everybody. He's not embarrassed to ask a question. He approaches wisdom as the inquiring mind. Rabbi say, if you don't ask a question, you can't learn. Eizehu chacham halomei mikol adam, mikol melamdai hiskalti. Now, you should know, who is called in the Gemara a chacham? So the Gemara tells us in Brachos, Haroa ben Zomא b'chalom, if you see a vision of ben Zomã in your dreams, yitzapi l'chachma, you can expect wisdom. None other ben Zomã comes along in Pirkei Avot, and his first of all of his axioms and truths and statements for all time is Eizehu chacham. Who does the chacham? Ben Zomã, and his first statement is, who is a chacham? Now, alas, what became of ben Zomã? So we can learn in the Gemara in Khaneged, a famous story. Tanur Rabbanan, our rabbis learned. Arba'ah nichnasu lepardes. 4 entered the orchard. Now, lepardes is an allusion and an acronym for pirush, remez, drush, and soid. An explanation, a hint, an exegesis, and secrets. They entered the allegorical pardes, the fictional orchard, in order to understand the depths of the Torah, pursuant to the acronym of the word pardes, which means orchard. And who were the 4 that entered the orchard in order to understand the depths and to divine the divine, so to speak? V'eluhein, and these were them. Ben Azai, who we'll learn about in the next Mishnah. Ben Zomã, the author of our Mishnah. Acher, the other, who is really Elisha ben Avuya, the Rabbi Akiva. What happened? Ben Azai hates its v'meis. Ben Azai, he glimpsed the divine, and he expired right away. Ben Zomã hates its v'nifka. Ben Zomã, what did he do? He too glimpsed the divine, but he went insane. The author of our Mishnah, his demise was insanity. He went crazy. Acher kitzitz b'nitios. Oh, he too. He glimpsed the divine as well. And what happened to him? He became a heretic. Rabbi Akiva yotze b'shalom. Only Rabbi Akiva came out complete. What is the opposite of a chacham? It's not the rasha. The opposite of a rasha is a tzaddik. The opposite of a chacham, a wise person, is a she'ena yodea lishol, a person who doesn't know how to ask a question. Remember what the Torah Tamima said. The rasha, he states facts. He knows it all. He's not asking questions. And what does the chacham come to tell you? Ki yishalcha bincha machar. He's asking questions. He wants to learn. So who's the opposite of the chacham? The she'ena yodea lishol, a person who doesn't know how to ask. And what is the opposite of a rasha? The tam, the simple person. Now, that's the simple way of translating it. But a tam means tmimus. He's complete. V'Yakov ishtam yoshevo alem. And Yaakov was a simple man. He sat and dwelt in the tent. That's not what it means. It means that Yaakov Avinu was wizened by his years of learning in yeshiva. He was a man of the book. That was the tam. He was a tomim, la kodesh baruch hu, a person steeped in Torah knowledge. Ben Zomã, he entered the orchard. He attempted too much to learn it all, and became of him insanity. What does a person who's insane do? He babbles. He cannot even phrase a question. He doesn't speak coherently. That's the she'ena yodea l'shol. Doesn't know how to answer a question. Ben Zomã attempted it all. He attempted everything. He learned the divine, to be inspired. Moire v'Rabbi say, Eitz hadas toiv v'ro, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Ein bein shamayim legehenim melachut hasayra. The difference between heaven and hell is but a hair's breadth. Good Shabbos.